anxious skies, for amber waves of grain,
for purple mountain man.
Good evening. Welcome to the 2016 candidate debate for Union County Council District 3, Union County Clerk of Court, and Union County Sheriff. I'd like to thank the committee for inviting me to participate in this event, and I'd also like to thank each of you for being here this evening. We do have some introductions that we have to make before we push forward the instructions to the candidates, the moderators, and the audience. So at this time, I'd like to introduce the committee, the debate committee, which is a cross-representation from both parties, 3 Democrats and 3 Republicans. Elise Ashby. Elise is also our timekeeper. Payne Burnett. Is Payne here? Randall Ivy, who is one of our moderators. Tiffany Littlejohn, who is another one of our moderators. Melody Porter. And Tyler Sugart. So in accordance with any type of situation that's organized, there are instructions. There are instructions for the candidates, the moderators, and the audience. First, for the candidates. Each candidate will be given 1 minute to introduce himself or herself. Each candidate will be given 2 minutes to respond to the question. Each candidate will be given 2 minutes for rebuttal. Please respect the time constraints. At this point, all candidates know or should know Elise, because I've introduced her, and apparently she has a cowbell. You want to ring it so they'll know it sounds like? And she will ring the cowbell after the first warning. She will also ring the cowbell if you've exceeded your time and if you continue to go beyond your time. And if you are rude or disrespectful to fellow candidates, the audience, or anyone else in the room, she will ring the cowbell. Remember, we have a lot to get through, and I believe we have to leave the auditorium by 9 p.m., and we'd like for the audience to be able to speak to the candidates individually. So we want to save a little time at the end. Candidates are not to verbally attack each other. Please hold the microphone close to your mouth at this podium and speak clearly into it. This podium has it's a standalone microphone, and you shouldn't have to pick it up. Now, instructions for the moderators. You are only to ask questions. The first questions will come from those previously given to the candidates. Other questions will come from those submitted by email and the audience, and those that have been vetted by the committee as appropriate. Instructions for the audience. The audience is encouraged to write all questions down for all or specific candidates. So if you have questions and you did not drop your questions into the pumpkin at the front as you walked in, you may do so at this time. The committee will vet these questions prior to giving them to the moderators to make sure they're appropriate. If the audience questions are not asked, they can ask candidates afterwards. That's why we want to leave a little time after the debate. The audience is urged not to ask derogatory or inflammatory questions or make negative comments. We ask that those in the audience do not interrupt the candidate while speaking, nor make rude gestures or comments during the event. If so, you will be escorted from the auditorium. There will be no other warnings. Just some general information. The restrooms are through the doors on either side of the stage. Voter registration ends on October the 8th. If you need to register, please do so tonight. Voter registration and cards for questions to the candidates are outside the auditorium.
Hello, I'm Reverend Pastor Jerry McKee. I pastor Beach Street Presbyterian Church for 9 years in Gaffney and was at McCutcheon for about 12 years. And so that's just a little bit about me, and I'm the cameraman, okay? I'll make sure everybody looks good and pretty. Let's bow our heads in prayer. Dear Heavenly Father, we come and assemble together, Father, as our right that you've given our forefathers and blessed this wonderful country to have these elections and these debates. We pray, Heavenly Father, that you'll be with each candidate as they present their reasoning for running for government office and your calling, Father. We ask, Father, that you'll bless these people here, that you'll bless them, and that you, Father, will give them wisdom and knowledge on what to do and how to vote. We lift you up, Father, not ourselves, but may your blessings be upon us all. In Jesus' name, amen.
Thank you, Reverend McKee. Now, for the first set of candidates, I'd like to invite to the stage the candidates for Union County Council, District 3, Tommy Ford, who is the incumbent candidate, and David E. Sinclair.
Good evening, gentlemen. Which one is lucky number one?
Look at your slips, please, and see which one's one.
That'd be me.
All right. Okay, you each have 1 minute to introduce yourself, and since you are number one, Mr. Sinclair, you have 1 minute.
All right, my name's David Sinclair. Thank you all for coming out tonight. I'm going to put my hat on because that's how everybody knows me. Nobody knows me without a hat, so I figured I'd put it on. Anyway, I am a Republican candidate for District number 3, and I am a lifelong resident of Buffalo, South Carolina. Born and raised there, 1991 graduate of Union High School. I run and operate David Sinclair Automotive, and just in the recent years, I felt like I needed to get involved in the local government, and I prayed about it, and the Lord gave me peace with it, so I'm standing in front of you tonight.
Thank you. Mr. Ford, 1 minute.
My name is Tommy Ford, and I'm seeking another term on County Council. I live in Buffalo with my wife, Judy, of 50 years. We have 3 children, 5 grandchildren, and 2 great-grandchildren. And I'm a member of Buffalo Baptist Church.
All right, thank you. We'll begin with questions now. We'll start with number 1, and then number 2, you will have 2 minutes to rebuttal. The first question, number 1, Mr. Sinclair, why are you running for this position, and what are your qualifications for the position that you are running for?
Well, like I said earlier, I'm running for this position because I feel like I could be an asset to Union County.
Just Sinclair.
For years, I've really just kind of run my own business and kind of tried to do my own things, and I didn't really get involved in politics much, but then recently I felt like there was a need for some type of change in Union, and in speaking to other people around me, a lot of people had that same need or felt that same way. So that's what persuaded me to run for county council, is because I think I could be an asset to the council. And also my qualifications are I am a businessman. I've been in the automotive industry for 25 years. I've been a service and parts manager for 19 years basically, and a business owner for the last 6 years. And during those times, I graduated high school. I went through extensive training while I was at the Chrysler dealership in management and marketing, which I have certifications for. And I also just recently graduated or had my associate's degree in biblical studies. So I'm really proud of that. But that's my qualifications, and that's the reason I decided to run.
Mr. Sinclair, where do you see the city, town, and or county of Union in the next 10 years?
Really, I would like to look at it more so in the next 20 years because in the last 20 years that I've really been involved in management, I have seen Union lose 3 car dealerships, a lot of manufacturing companies here in Union. We've lost, 2 golf courses, a driving range, some grocery stores, and I just see it just looks like the business end of the industry in Union has fallen down some, just in my short time in the industry. So I would like to say, if what I've seen over the last 20 years of my life, of the things that we have lost, I'm really concerned at looking 20 more years down the road, what is it going to look like then? How much more have we going to be lost? And what could be done to keep what we've got now and build more on top of that?
Thank you. Mr. Ford, would you care to rebut anything Mr. Sinclair just said? Thank you.
All right. Mr. Ford, why are you running for this position for re-election, and what are your qualifications for the position that you're running for?
I'm running for re-election because the future of our county depends on strong, dedicated leadership. Experience is needed to keep Union County moving forward. I consider myself a man of the people, and I am not a yes man on council. I stand up and vote for what I think is right for the people of Union County.
Thank you.
My qualifications, I've got 12 years experience on county council. In 2015, we brought in $27 million in capital investments, 175 new jobs in 2015. Key new industrial announcements: vapor apparel, GAS recycling, expansion of Humanetics, working with Union County School Board, USC-Union, and SCE by encouraging dual credit for high school students in welding, mechatronics, and college courses. Tuition assistance program, we voted on a program not long ago for tuition assistance for students of Union County. In other words, if you cannot get any help anywhere, there's help for you in Union County as far as tuition. Last year, we paved 25 roads in Union County. This year, we've done 50 roads in Union County. We have worked with Spartanburg Regional to ensure that we have a hospital in Union County.
Thank you, Mr. Ford.
And Mr. Ford, what is your vision of our county in the next 10 years?
Well, in the next 10 years, you know, nobody can predict the future, but I see our county moving forward in the next 10 years. For our hope for our county in the next 10 years is a strong government, new industrial, more jobs, growth in population, possibility of USC-Union with dorms, first-class schools, hospital, and EMS, urgent care facilities in Union County, new middle-class restaurants, such as Chili's, Applebee's, and places like that, entertainment, movie theater, maybe even a new mall.
Thank you. Ms. Sinclair, you would care to rebut anything Mr. Ford's just said?
Well, the population increase has got me concerned a little bit. I mean, I know that is our vision and ultimately that is the goal, but the U.S. Census says that from 2010 to 2005, we have lost 4% of our population. And as far as the industry goes, I don't think we've been able to replace the jobs that we've lost up at this point. I mean, I know we've created new jobs and I'm glad of that, but we haven't replaced what we've lost in the decrease of Timken and all the textile mills that we've lost down through the years. And the working class of people, if you look at the population, is a lot less than what it was even 10 years ago.
Thank you.
There's jobs in Union County now. I think every plant in Union County is hiring. If you don't believe it, ride up the road and see the signs where it says, "We are hiring." Gestamp is hiring, ESOP is hiring, Standard Textiles is hiring. There's jobs in Union County to be had. Our problem is we got to get people qualified for these jobs. You know, we got a problem with drugs in Union County, getting people to pass the drug test, and we got a problem with getting people trained. But believe me, you can get trained for a job. You can go uptown to the workforce center. Ms. Pendergrass, if you need a GED, you need to get trained for a certain job, they'll help you. They'll help you write a resume. But there are jobs in Union County right now.
Okay, thank you. We're going to move on to the second question, which involves tourism. Tourism, as you know, is the #1 industry in our state. And Mr. Ford, if you're reelected to council, how will you assist the council in bringing more of those tourism dollars to our county?
We've been working with the tourism committee for a while now. We're working on several things. We're working on the possibility of kayaking and canoeing on Broad River and a boat landing in Lockhart. We're working to expand the hunting events such as the coon hunt and other events that take place. I've talked with the tourism director. We're working on overnight camping and horseback riding events. It's in the makings now. We've already increased the utilization of Timpkins Sports Complex by 40%. We intend on increasing it a little more. In the last couple of years, we've brought state tournaments in. We've had 5 state tournaments at Timpkins Sports Complex that's brought in thousands of people. We're working on that. We're working on some entertainment, some celebrity entertainment with the tourism committee, and several other things that are going on. A lot going on with tourism.
Thank you. Ms. Sinclair, you have any comments?
Well, there's no doubt that tourism is definitely big money, but unfortunately, most of that money in South Carolina is spent along the coastline and the beaches. So what I feel like, and I agree with Tommy on this, is that we're going to have to try to find some way to make Union the destination instead of the coastline. So that would be my goal, and I agree with him on capitalizing on events such as Big Buck and the coon hunt deal that went on. But it's going to take more than 1 or 2. We're going to have to extend our resources out to try to make it year-round events instead of just 1 or 2 here and there. And also one thing that I thought about that would be beneficial to Union would be some type of an RV park where people could come in and actually park their RVs. As far as I know, there's nowhere in Union to do that except for Walmart parking lot, and there's no dumping station. So if we're going to have tourism in Union, we need somewhere for these tourists to park where they can have a comfortable place to stay while they're here if they're not staying in one of our motels.
Thank you, sir.
All right, moving on to property cleanup. If elected to your district, how do you plan to enforce property cleanup of abandoned property, Mr. Sinclair?
Well, I look at it like this. Union County is my home. I love it. I'm proud to be here. I'm proud to be a Union person. And really, we should use Union and think about Union as we do our home. I mean, if you invite somebody to your home, you're going to make sure your grass is cut, your hedges are trimmed, your driveway looks good, it's presentable, and you want it to be comforting and welcoming to people when they come. And that's what we need to do here in Union, and the main thing we can do by doing that is really just enforce the ordinances that we already have in place. We have cleanup ordinances, they're just not followed through with. We need to develop a continuous beautification program, not something that's just a one-day event, like the Adopt a Highway. You adopt a highway, you go one day and you clean up miles of highway, the next day it's all trashed up again. We need to come up with something that we can do in our economy here to make it a continuous effort to clean up things. And abandoned homes and things such as that need to be removed and done away with. And we can utilize the COG program to do that. And they may already be doing it here. But like I said, I'm proud to be in Union. I love being in Union. I have no intentions of moving. I just would like for it to be cleaned up a little bit.
Thank you. Mr. Ford, any thoughts?
We've got a full-time code enforcement officer now that probably gets, 60 calls a week. He is full-time. When he gets a call, he goes out and checks it out where it's be high grass or whatever, trash in the yard. And believe me, if he goes out there and you got a problem, he will write you up. And when he writes you up, you got so many days to get it done. And there's not a day goes by that he doesn't get a lot of calls. He's on the road every time. And besides that, we have got a new litter enforcement officer now. Just been on board for a couple of weeks. She is going to have no tolerance as far as litter on our highways, on our streets. She's already out there, and when she's not busy, she's busy with helping with the code enforcement. We will clean this place up. It's already started. They're busy every day. The county is out looking at old houses that are about to fall down and all that kind of stuff, we're condemning these old houses and we're tearing down these houses. We're using public works and inmate labor to tear these houses down. We also had a deal with a COG to help us with these projects of tearing these houses down. Well, we've already torn some down, and we got, I don't know, a lot of them on the list to be torn down. Probably some of them going to start next week. But it's an ongoing problem for everybody, and you know, it's something we got to do every day.
Thank you, Mr. Ford.
All right, Mr. Ford, the next question is about spec building. Why, as taxpayers, do we incur the cost of building spec facilities and promoting potential properties for industry?
Well, you know, everybody's under the impression that everybody just sits back and wait on industrial to call to Union County to come in here. But believe me, we got a development board in Upstate Alliance. This Upstate Alliance and the Development Board, I know they call at least 50 companies every year trying to get them to come in here and locate in Union County. A lot of reasons they don't, no interstate, several different reasons. But most of them, 75% of them, of industrial prospects want to know if you've got a spec building. Spec buildings are something that every county is building now. It's the key to economic development.
Sinclair?
Well, I, agree that it does seem like a big upfront money, but I think personally the spec buildings are a huge asset for Union. It is an open door for business to come in here. A business can come in and look and see a spec building in place, and it gives them something to look at other than just a green field. They've got a starting point. It's an invitation for a looking business is what I would say. And just our neighboring counties over in Greenwood, somebody with their government office said that when you think about Greenwood, you think about the lake. But that, according to the government there, is not what's made their economic development take off. It's the development of spec buildings. So if you ask me what I think about it, I'd say I think we need to build another one.
Thank you.
Thank you. Moving on to taxes. When voting on a county project, the term "in lieu of taxes" is used. Mr. Sinclair, please explain what it means and why this action is taken.
In lieu of taxes basically is a state or local grace period offered to a business for taxes, in which the taxes or fees may be reduced or lowered to a lower rate, and it's a great investment by a county and a city to do that. I found out just here recently that a lot of our neighboring states have a lot less tax rate than we do, commercial tax rate. So it's easier for a business to come in and say North Carolina or Tennessee, if they have a 5% commercial tax rate, to build a $100 million business or whatever, because they're going to pay a lower rate. And South Carolina tends to have a higher rate. So it's this in lieu of taxes that we use as an asset or an investment opportunity to offer these bigger companies to come in to give them a tax break for a certain period of time. And believe it or not, studies show that these companies usually stay longer than their grace period does, than what their grace period is, and lots of them have even expanded.
Mr. Ford, any thoughts on that?
Yeah, the purpose of the fee in lieu of taxes is to attract new industrial and create jobs for our county by reducing the rates for 10.5% down to 6%. You know, this thing has got to be a bit more. Every county in this state wants the industries in Union County. All our neighboring states want these industries. You know, it's kind of like a bidding war to get these things. You know, if you don't lower their taxes, somebody else is going to do it. They're going to get the industry rather than you. I know a couple of years ago we had an industry come in here and we offered them the tax break and everything. Virginia offered them free taxes for a year. So naturally they went for Ginder. This is an example of how this works, you know, and it is a bidding war. I mean, you know, and you have to do something for them if you're going to get them in here.
Thank you, Mr. Ford.
Something's better than nothing is the way I look at it.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Ford, There have been recent concerns raised over safety issues at Union County Stadium. Would you support using hospitality tax funds or other funds to help renovate the stadium? Under what conditions would you do so?
I would support using money to fix up the stadium. If the county high school agrees to a 10 or 15 year period, we've been having meetings with the stadium commission, some are county council, some are the school board members. We all meet and talk about these things, and the things we've talked about is fixing up Union County Stadium. Union County Stadium has got some safety issues, but a lot of them are small that we can fix right away. Some of them are bigger issues. You got to realize that the stadium was built back a long time ago to play baseball. That's the reason you got small dressing rooms and you got the bleachers on the inside. They call the baseball bleachers. They were gigged and told to be tore down because they just need new seats. I think this needs to be a joint effort with the school board. There's been talk of where to remodel the stadium or maybe the school board building their own stadium out of school. But believe me, with a little money, you can fix Union County stadium up to be a first-class facility. You talk about building a new stadium at the high school or whatever, you're talking at least $10 million. I've got a son that has inspected every football field that's been built in the upstate for the last 10 years. He said the cheapest one built was $10 million. So I would be in favor of using funds to fix up the stadium and make it a first-class facility.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Sinclair?
I would be in favor of it also. I just wish that we could come together as a county, the school district and the Union County Council to fund those repairs that are needed. I think the main thing that we face with the stadium is that it was built in the mid-'60s or late '60s and it hadn't had a whole lot of updates done on it since then. But in my opinion, it's in a great location. I mean, I think that location of the stadium is an awesome asset for Union County. It's almost like a mainstream area there. And I think we need to upgrade it. I think we need to find out what the code is and where the safety issues are that need to be attended to, and we need to do that. And the talks about moving the stadium to the high school, I think, would be devastating to our local business economy uptown, because so many of those people, after they go to the games, go over and eat somewhere because they're parked right there. So I'd be in favor of leaving it where it's at and just fixing it up.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. This question was emailed in to us. Mr. Sinclair, there are over 6,000 veterans in Union County, which make up at least 1/7 of the population. Would you give consideration to increase funding for the Veterans Service Office?
I did a little bit of research on the veterans, and our Veterans Office here does a great deal. It goes out of its way to try to attend to all of the veteran issues that we have. The federal government says that we only have around 3,500 veterans in Union, but that number is actually around 5,500 to 6,000. Some of them just don't take advantage of all the benefits. It provides a lot of service. 6 or 7 days, they may have 6 or 7 people one day or 18 to 20 the next day. And the lady there transports as many as 120 transportation calls a month. They help with the enrollment of health care and doctor's appointments and prescriptions that are needed. So if our veterans in Union County are suffering because we don't have enough people in place to take care of them properly, then yeah, I would be for funding them a little bit more.
And Mr. Ford, this was directed at you in the email. Are there any plans to increase funding for the Veterans Service Office? If no, why not? And if yes, how?
Well, Cindy Ford does a great job assisting veterans with the medical care, medication, home assistance, and all that kind of stuff. Union County Council supports Cindy and the VA office in any way we can. Cindy submits a yearly budget, and Council approves the budget submitted. We are always open to any additional needs of the VA office that they may have. I mean, if she needs something, she comes to us every year and she submits a budget. She needs something, she adds it to the budget. And the budget is a year-to-year thing. If they need help, I'm sure Council would agree to help them.
Thank you.
All right, we're staying with Veterans Affairs issues. Mr. Ford, the city recently worked out an agreement with the county regarding animal control, which ultimately provided a savings to the city of Union. Do you believe that other areas such as fleet maintenance, well, I thought this was a veterans question, excuse me. I need to read my script beforehand. Do you believe that other areas such as fleet maintenance, building inspection, code enforcement, and public works should be considered for consolidation to continue to provide services at a lower cost as opposed to duplicating services in the county and city of Union?
Yeah, we've been working with the city for several years now, trying to combine services with them. There's a lot of details and everything else that has to be worked out as far as the financing and everything of these things. I think some of the service could be combined. For instance, animal service, we've already done that, but we are steady talking with the city about combining services.
Okay, thank you. Ms. Sinclair?
Under the certain circumstances, I feel like that some of the services could be combined, and I think it could be beneficial and definitely cost saving. The only thing is we just want to make sure that it don't affect the way they can produce and what they have to get done every day. As long as it doesn't do that, then I would be for some consolidation. Yes, sir.
Thank you. These are, go ahead.
Oh, sorry. Gentlemen, that's all the questions that we have for you tonight. We appreciate your time.
All right, thank y'all.